Have you ever felt that? No matter how many possessions or achievements you accumulate, there is still an emptiness that refuses to be filled. The Buddha, in his gentle wisdom, reminds us that genuine fulfillment emerges not from chasing after grand external things, but from cherishing what we already have. Today, I want to share a story, one about a wealthy merchant, his lavish gold and jewels, and an old silver ring that changed his perspective on happiness forever. Although his treasures dazzled those around him, the merchant's heart remained restless and unsatisfied, as if something significant was always missing. As you listen to this tale, I encourage you to open your mind to the possibility that true joy may lie closer than you think. This wealthy merchant owned houses and lands. He possessed shining ornaments and luxurious clothes. People envied his success, wondering how his life could be anything but blissful. Yet, as he moved through his busy days, a nagging sense of incompleteness weighed on his mind. His estate sparkled under the sun, but within him lay a quiet turmoil. One day, he came across an old silver ring, tucked away among priceless heirlooms. This ring was no dazzling gemstone. In fact, it appeared rather humble, worn, with only a small engraving on its surface. However, the moment he picked it up, something within him stirred. It reminded him of a time long ago, when he owned little but felt content with life's simple blessings. According to the Buddhist teachings, we often overlook the true source of happiness by pinning our hopes on outward show and fleeting pleasures. In reality, it is our gratitude and mindful appreciation that unlock contentment. Just like that unassuming silver ring held a precious story and brought meaning to the merchant's life, we, too, may discover deep fulfillment in the small, easily forgotten gifts around us. As you embark on this exploration with me, remember that your sense of wholeness or lack thereof does not hinge on how grand your possessions are, but on how consciously and gratefully you receive them. Let us journey together, inspired by this simple ring, to realize that happiness can blossom in our hearts when we choose to value and nurture what we already hold in our hands. The wealthy merchant, curious about the humble silver ring he had rediscovered, found himself drawn to it in a way that his fine jewels and gold had never managed to capture his heart. Late one evening, with the moon casting soft light upon his estate, he sat down by a window to examine this simple piece of metal. Its surface, once polished and gleaming, had grown tarnished over time. Yet it held a mysterious warmth that his other treasures lacked. Intrigued, he carefully traced the faint lettering on the ring. Always remember what you have. At that moment, a memory from his youth returned, one of a time when he possessed little more than determination and a handful of kind friends. Yet he had felt a genuine spark of happiness. ignited by gratitude for each day. Reflecting on the Buddha's teachings about contentment, the merchant realized that although his wealth had grown, his sense of appreciation had dwindled. While tending to his businesses and acquisitions, he had forgotten the everyday blessings that nurtured his joy in earlier years. This realization challenged him deeply, as he understood how easily he had slipped into a cycle of wanting more, chasing fresh sources of stimulation, and never pausing to savor what he already had. The Buddha warns us that such endless craving leads to restlessness and sorrow, obscuring the abundance that lies plainly within our grasp. By allowing himself to be driven by external measures of success, the merchant had overlooked the simple wonders around him: warm meals, supportive friends, meaningful work. With a silver ring in hand, he resolved to rekindle gratitude in his life. He vowed to rise each morning and acknowledge at least one blessing, perhaps the cool breeze before sunrise, or the comfort of a loyal companion, or the sheer possibility of a new day. As days passed, he noticed a gentle shift within himself. His mind grew lighter, and the anxious craving for grander displays of wealth softened. Remembering the Buddha's gentle guidance, contentment is the greatest wealth, he began to see his possessions not as objects to flaunt but as resources to share, to cultivate generosity and compassion toward those around him. His wealth took on new meaning, reflecting a spirit of kindness rather than mere prestige. Thus, the once restless merchant found an unshakable peace, no longer driven by external validation. All it took was a simple silver ring, old and tarnished by time, to remind him of the profound and liberating truth that happiness blossoms when we pause to treasure what we already hold. By turning his mind to gratitude, in the spirit of the Buddha's teachings, he uncovered a wellspring of joy, hidden in plain sight, waiting patiently for him to remember its immense value. Let us journey deeper into the essence of the wealthy merchant's story and how it mirrors the Buddha's gentle teachings on finding true happiness in the simplest of things. You have seen how this prosperous man, surrounded by gold and gems, was still haunted by a sense of emptiness. In his hands, he held objects that dazzled the eyes but failed to nourish his heart. Yet, in the overlooked silver ring lay a reminder of the powerful lesson. We can choose to find deep contentment not by ceaselessly chasing more, but by humbly appreciating what we already possess. According to the Buddha, discontent arises not because we are inherently lacking, but because our minds grow restless in search of novelty, approval, or prestige. This craving, or tanha as referred to in the Buddha's teachings, creates a perpetual thirst that no amount of external success can fully quench. In the merchant's life, the glitter of his riches never managed to calm the inner longing for fulfillment. Instead of finding peace in his fortune, he let his possessions become measures of status rather than tools for well-being. This subtle trap ensnares many of us, forgetting that happiness flourishes when we tend to our present blessings with gratitude and mindfulness, rather than forever striving for what we do not have. In his moment of transformation, the merchant discovered something remarkable. That simple silver ring evoked memories of his humbler beginnings, a time when he had far less in material terms but paradoxically felt more alive and at ease. He recalled how each little victory, each simple meal, and each word of kindness shared with a friend lifted his spirit beyond anything gold alone could provide. This recollection awakened him to the Buddha's insight: contentment is the greatest wealth. The old ring, unassuming among his many treasures, reignited his sense of gratitude. With it came a surge of warmth in his chest, a gentle realization that joy had been within his grasp all along, patiently waiting to be noticed. Observe how this story echoes our own lives. How often do we overlook the abundance already surrounding us: health, relationships, talents, or small daily comforts, because our gaze is fixated on what is missing. The Buddha teaches us that this blind spot arises from ignorance and attachment, causing us to roam restlessly, believing one more purchase, achievement, or approval might finally fill the emptiness. Like the merchant, we risk forgetting that the greatest treasures can be found in moments of quiet appreciation, sharing a heartfelt laugh with a loved one, enjoying a comforting meal, or simply pausing to breathe deeply in gratitude for the chance to live another day. The silver ring reminds us that these humble gifts often hold the real power to shape our happiness. Moreover, the Buddha's path encourages us to transform our understanding of possessions. Rather than treating them as trophies, we learn to regard them as instruments to foster kindness, compassion, and generosity. Upon rediscovering the silver ring, the merchant could have easily dismissed it as worthless compared to his gold and jewels. Yet, by opening his heart, he allowed that piece of metal to point him toward an inner shift, one of humility, thankfulness, and even a renewed sense of connection to those around him. From the Buddhist viewpoint, this shift is precisely what liberates us from the prison of insatiable desires. Freed from the illusion that we need more or better, we discover the riches we already hold. In my own experience, I have seen how powerful a simple practice of gratitude can be. When life became busy and my mind felt weighed down by work and endless tasks, I decided to write down 3 things each evening that I was thankful for. At first, this felt almost too trivial to matter. But within days, I realized how my focus had begun shifting from what I lacked to the blessings constantly flowing around me. Like the merchant rediscovering his silver ring, I was reminded that true wealth lies in acknowledging everyday wonders: a supportive friend, a cozy home, or a small personal victory at work. Let me assure you that this exercise, though gentle, can spark a lasting transformation in how you see the world each day. Now, consider how you might apply the merchant's realization in your own life. Instead of looking outward for more extravagance or thinking you need radical changes, look inward first. Ask yourself, which simple joy have I been overlooking? What small piece of life have I labeled as insignificant? By turning your gaze to these modest blessings, you sow the seeds of genuine happiness. This approach mirrors the Buddha's teaching to practice mindful awareness of the present moment, observing our experiences, appreciating them, and thereby releasing the restlessness that compels us to keep seeking more. Finally, I invite you to make a commitment in the spirit of the merchant's discovery. Close your eyes for a few moments. Breathe calmly, and picture at least one silver ring in your life, one cherished memory, object, or relationship you have long taken for granted. Allow gratitude to fill your heart. Then, carrying that feeling, open your eyes and resolve to live each day with renewed appreciation for what you hold in your hands right now. The Buddha gently reminds us, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. When you fill your mind with thankfulness for what is already present, you become someone who is truly rich, savoring life's sweetness in the most unassuming of moments. As you end this reflection, remember that happiness is not hidden away in some far-off future or in another accomplishment, but in your capacity to see meaning and joy in what is here with you today. By embracing this lesson, you walk a path paved with gratitude, understanding, and boundless peace, no matter how humble or glittering your possessions may be. Now that we have explored how a humble silver ring taught a prosperous merchant the true meaning of gratitude, let us delve further into how we can apply this lesson in our everyday lives. According to the Buddha's compassionate wisdom, genuine contentment arises when we learn to see and appreciate the present blessings in front of us instead of forever pursuing bigger, shinier treasures. So many of us, like that wealthy merchant, believe that the next achievement, the next luxury, or the next grand possession will finally bring us the happiness we crave. Yet, the Buddha reminds us that our hearts can only experience true peace when they are freed from endless striving and awakened to the richness of what is already here. Consider your own day-to-day routine. You may have moments of boredom or frustration, times when your mind tells you that life is not as exciting or fulfilling as it should be. Perhaps you see others enjoying what seems to be a more lavish or more effortless existence, and you catch yourself thinking, if only I had that, I would be happy. The Buddha, however, gently invites us to pause and question this assumption. He reminds us that our longing for more, our craving for something beyond our current situation, can become a never-ending chase, a cycle of dissatisfaction that robs us of the beauty and comfort readily available. In the spirit of the merchant's transformation, we too can embrace a shift in our mindset. Each morning, I encourage you to begin by taking a few mindful breaths, softening into the moment. Then, reflect on at least one aspect of your life you feel thankful for, be it a loyal friend, a safe home, a personal talent, or even just the ability to breathe freely. This simple practice of starting the day with a note of gratitude echoes what the silver ring evoked in the merchant. A call to notice the abundant blessings often overshadowed by routine or material ambition. It also creates a buffer against the waves of discontent that can arise when we focus too heavily on what we lack. Next, observe how you react when facing challenges or disappointments. Let us say you have a plan that does not unfold as expected. Do you quickly label the day a failure, overlooking the many small successes or moments of kindness that surrounded the setback? Remember the Buddhist teaching that the mind, left untrained, tends to inflate negativity and minimize positivity, leading to unhappiness. The merchant, for instance, had everything most people dream of, yet he felt restless and incomplete. Only when he acknowledged the meaning behind a modest possession did he realize the key to fulfillment was not in acquiring more but in valuing more deeply. Another practical way to nurture gratitude is to keep a simple daily journal. Similar to how the merchant rediscovered his ring among his treasures. Before retiring at night, jot down a few observations. Something that made you smile, something you learned, or someone who supported you. This reflective act mirrors the sense of wonder the merchant felt when he first held that modest piece of silver in his hands. Such awareness trains your mind to spot blessings instead of dwelling on problems. It allows you to walk through life with the knowledge that happiness is less about quantity and more about quality, about seeing significance in the seemingly ordinary. Some might wonder if choosing gratitude and contentment contradicts ambition or the drive to improve. The Buddhist teaching, however, does not call for passivity or a denial of goals. Rather, it guides us to pursue our aspirations without chaining our happiness to them. Strive for what uplifts you and helps others, but keep your heart rooted in appreciation for what you have now. In doing so, you harness the energy of positivity to propel you forward. The merchant's story demonstrates that one can hold both wealth and humility, drive and gratitude, without losing oneself in endless wanting. He learned to savor the silver ring as a symbol of a deeper truth, that the light of joy glows strongest when we actively cherish each moment. In my own life, I have witnessed tremendous change when I learned to balance my goals with a mindful appreciation for present blessings. Like the merchant, I once searched anxiously for something bigger or better, believing that my sense of wholeness hinged on external gains. But the moment I paused and, with gratitude, recognized the kindness, beauty, and warmth that already surrounded me, my mind felt instantly lighter. Each new accomplishment then became a source of deeper gratitude, not a frantic attempt to fill an emptiness. I hope you can experience this same liberation by practicing the art of seeing gold in the silver ring you already possess. So, my friends, reflect on this story of a once restless merchant who found solace in an overlooked ring. Let it serve as a mirror for our own lives. If we train our hearts to see the remarkable value in what we have, our health, our relationships, our daily comforts, our personal strengths, then, like the Buddha says, we can discover a kind of wealth that cannot be stolen or diminished. As you continue your journey, remember the merchant's epiphany. There is joy waiting for you, right where you stand, if only you pause to acknowledge it. Carry this teaching forward, letting gratitude guide each of your decisions, each of your breaths, and each of your hopes, for it is through this lens of appreciation that true happiness emerges, steadily and securely, from the depths of your own heart. As we arrive at the closing of our story about the merchant and his unassuming silver ring, let us reflect on what his experience can teach us about true contentment and how it may guide our own lives. I have personally experienced moments when I found myself chasing after external successes while overlooking the quiet blessings already within my reach. This parable resonates with me because it clearly demonstrates that a shift in perspective, learning to appreciate the simplest gifts, can lead us to a deeper, more enduring happiness. In our fast-paced world, we often believe that the next achievement, the next possession, or the next level of recognition will finally grant us the peace and joy we seek. Yet the Buddha gently reminds us that real fulfillment grows out of knowing how to cherish what we already have. The merchant in our story possessed innumerable treasures, yet discovered his greatest sense of well-being in a single object that once seemed ordinary. This truth is echoed in our own lives when we pause and notice that, in striving for something greater, we might be missing the small wonders right before us. From my own experience, I have learned that adopting a habit of gratitude, like silently naming 3 things I am thankful for each morning, can infuse my entire day with a sense of calm and positivity. I urge you to do the same. Call to action. Starting tomorrow, when you first open your eyes, pause for a moment. Take 3 mindful breaths and acknowledge a few blessings, no matter how modest. By grounding yourself in this simple exercise, you awaken a gentle awareness that invites joy, self-compassion, and clarity into your everyday routine. Remember, dear friends, that having more does not always equate to feeling complete. Contentment arises when we engage wholeheartedly with what is already present, discovering the wellspring of peace in our current circumstances. Allow the Buddha's teaching to guide your perspective and gently dissolve any restless longing for the next big thing. Call to action. Share these insights with a friend or loved one, and encourage them to embrace gratitude as well. By doing so, you may spark a ripple effect, spreading deeper appreciation and happiness throughout your circle of friends and family. As you finish this reflection, I invite you to look around your life and recognize the blessings you hold. The simplest act of valuing what is in your hands can illuminate your path, replacing emptiness with a profound sense of hope and grace.